G'day, g'day. This is going to be a video on building a shed. Not lawn related at all today. So moved into a new property. I've got a 6x3 metre shed there that I'm using as a gym. Let's have a look at it. So I'm not using it at all because there's just no space. So I've got my 2 mowers, bike, storage. Basically it's half shed, half half gym. So yeah, anyway. So I'm actually going to build a new 3x3 metre by 2 metre high shed. Originally I wanted to go a bit bigger, but just with the whole council having to get building approval, go through council, it was going to be another sort of probably $1,000 to $1,500 just to get, you know, some bloke to tick a box or some individual to tick a box, and I just thought I'd avoid that completely. It comes in under anything over 10 square metres in my local council, providing it's not a mean height of more than, I think it was like 2.3 metres overall. So this is a 10 square metre shed, 2 metres high. So we're sweet to go. I've already done a lot of preparation for this. So basically, I've had to pull out 2 trees. They're the bases of them. Pull out that section of link block wall. Now I've hand dug probably 2 cubic metres or thereabouts of soil, which I've dumped all down the side of my house here, some down the back. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. This is what I do to save just a little bit of money on machinery. A lot of hand digging. So basically the site is prepared and ready, essentially. The last thing I've got to do with regards to excavating is through the perimeter, or around the perimeter, I've got to come down another 100 mil because the perimeter needs to be 200, and then the rest of the shed slab needs to be a minimum 100. So yeah, basically need to do that. What I'm using for my form ply is I ended up going with some Bunnings 140 mil by 35 mil by 3.6 metre lengths. They ended up being around, I think, $35 a piece. They're quite straight. I initially wanted to get some proper form ply, but they just didn't. They only had 6 metre lengths, and it was going to cost me like $80 a length. So the fact that this shed's 3.06 on all 4 corners, yeah, it just didn't seem practical to do that, seeing as I'm going to use them once and never again. This is 4 metres by 4 metres by 2.4, I think. This is SL72 mesh. So the minimum standard mesh was the SL62, so this one's 72, which is obviously a little bit better. I've ended up getting 2 sheets of that. It's obviously more than what's required here, but basically I'm just going to cut pieces out and actually use them as like trench mesh around the perimeter where it's going to be 200 mil, just for that extra reinforcement. This is also from Bunnings. The fact that they gave me a courtesy trailer is pretty much why I did this, to save money on deliveries. So at the moment I've got 6 200 by 2.4 by 50 mil pine sleepers. They're going in down here, and basically it's just going to retain what I've removed, and it's going to help obviously with drainage as well. So that's essentially what we've got to date. Alrighty, we're back after a couple of days. I've just gotten stuck straight into it, so we're already in concreting. There's a hell of a lot of water to deal with. Yeah, let's have a look. So I'm just hand mixing on some buckets, just using bags of concrete. So I've got this post in, I'm going to do 2 more to make 3 total. So I'll just crack in. Alrighty, that's a job done. That took about 3.5, 4 hours. There's always so much work involved in this. So once these set in about 48 hours, because there's a lot of moisture through here, so I'm going to allow, you know, more than 24 hours, I'll then be able to return these and then start backfilling with rock and, you know, the Aggie pipe, and just sort this drainage situation out. So we're already up to this point of putting in the corner bits. Alright, so the corner bits have been cut in. Basically, I'm going to screw two batten screws on each sleeper, and then I'm going to basically dig a hole and put a post in this corner piece here. And then once that's done, I'm going to then do the sort of return on this end. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to chop the tops off these using a circular saw. Now this one's a power one, or power lead, so I haven't plugged that in for safety reasons. Now I'm going to adjust the depth of my blade. So I don't want it to come through this timber too much in case I get my cuts slightly wrong. So I don't want it to obviously, you know, leave a mark essentially. So what I'm going to do is show you on the back of this Makita, there's a little lever. So if we flick him up, it adjusts this depth. So the best way to do it is put it on its side, lift that up, put it level. So as you can see, it's the blade, the tooth of the blade is about 5 mil past the thickness of this. So that will do for me. So that's it. It should be right to cut. So the way that we're going to cut the top of this, so we know it's a straight line, is we'll get the height measurement from here, which is exactly 100 mil. Come down, mark 100. Same on the other side, because this wall isn't level. It's level with the fence, which is sloping downwards. So that's why these two measurements won't be the same. That is about 102. Alrighty, so we've got this corner in. So basically what I've done is I've screwed through here to secure it in. Now as you can see, there's a gap there. That's because the angle of the wall hasn't fallen. It hasn't fallen enough, so it ends up to the bottom of this Culbon fence. So it's not the worst thing in the world. But what I've done is I've cut out this little angle. I'm just going to slot that in there, put a couple of nails in the top. So I've got a packet of these from a previous decking job I did. These will be the perfect nails just to put in that little wedge. Just to make it look neat. And basically that's that. So I'm going to put this star picket in here and probably one in here, and that'll just sort of hold that in. If there's any pressure, it slots in to the the post of the colour-bonded fence as well. But that's it. I'm going to hand cut this, and then, like I said earlier, just got to put a post in the corner there, and then I'm going to put in my aggie line and rock all through there, and then put a drain pipe down the back. Alrighty, so that's a 1/4 metre of 20mm crushed 20mm drainage rock. So we're going to run some geofabric down behind the wall, and then we will put the ag pipe in, and then we'll put the rock in. Alrighty, so the geofabric's through, and we keep a nice amount, so once all the rock's in we can fold it over. So now I'm just going to put in a base of the rock, and then sort of have it sort of level it off, so it's obviously gradually sloping down from this high point here down to the low point there. Got the aggie pipe through, so it's running down. I'm going to top it all off with rock. I'm going to feed it in through the base there. It's going to come out there, and then we're going to run some storm water down that way. Alrighty, job done. That was a lot of work. A lot of work. All that work essentially was because I wanted to gain maybe 500mm. So the shed went further that way as opposed to losing space out here. So all because of that. That was probably 4 weekends worth of work. Yeah. Don't know if that was worth it. Now I didn't film this, but I've just squared out, or roughly squared out, the shed slab. So let's have a look. Now, what I have to do is, I've come 200 metres off the string line, right around the perimeter, and I'm going to dig down 200 mils, because that's what, essentially what the footings are for this particular slab, and then the top is 100 mil thick. So 200 deep by 200 wide around the perimeter, and then 100 mil in the centre. So I'm going to dig down an extra 50 mil throughout, to allow for about 50 mil of coverage of the road base. So basically got the frame cut, built, put together and placed into position. I'm now going through and basically setting it to height and setting it straight against the string line on all four sides. So I'm just going to go through the process of how I've done that. It's a bit of a fiddly sort of process for me as a DIYer. Not a builder, not a concreter, don't form up every single day of the week. So just going off what I think I should do. But let's just have a look at it. So basically this was my first side. So this is the first side I used to set the string line up originally. I've come off the existing shed. Now I know that that's not going to be 100% straight, but it's a near enough, good enough kind of approach. So the first thing I did was get this side straight and to the level. So now I'm working off this, and then I've got a set square to go that way, which I've done. So using the string line that I've set out, I'm now getting this corner square, and basically I've gone center first with my first peg, and then I'll get that set to height and against the string line. Now while doing this, I'm also going from side to side, middle to middle, diagonally, and making sure the measurement's 3060 in mils, because that's basically it's a square slab, so it's 3060 mil. So I'm basically just doing that, triple checking my measurements, making sure they're right, making sure, you know, it's straight to the string line, but it's also true to length as well. So there's no point in having it, you know, straight to the string line here and say there, but it's not the correct length. Then it's obviously void and you're in a lot of trouble. So basically I'm going to work my way around and then come back this way and then finish off on that side. And as I do that, checking my levels, checking the string line, checking the measurements at every single peg that I put in. So at the moment I've done 1, 2 and 3. Depending on how I'm feeling, I'll probably put another peg in between those 3, which would make it 5. So that means it'd be 20 pegs in total, 5 on each side. So basically, let's do this one together. So my level is almost true. That side could probably go down a mil at best. Okay, so that's plumb, so I'm happy with that. Now I've already hit this in, and it's pretty true to my string line. What I could even do is get the string line a bit lower to give it more of an accurate reading. Okay, I had a little issue earlier where yesterday I'd fixed all the boards to height, everything was plumb, everything was square, everything was level. Well, I wasn't checking plumb, but everything was level. And when I came through this morning and I added the road base, my levels inside were a little bit too high, a little too high. So I've had to raise all the boards up, which is probably for the best, because now, as you can see in this corner here, it's sitting at about nearly 100 mil, which is what I want, really. I want this sitting at the lowest 100 mil. If that means that that corner is at 150, then so be it. But that's essentially pretty much where I want it. So now the next step is obviously putting in the builder's plastic. This is to stop or to prevent the moisture from the ground coming up through into the concrete slab. This is good, well, in my opinion, this is a really good quality plastic. I think it's like that 200 GSM or whatever it's called. So that's what I've done, is I've lapped it underneath and outside. That's because the moisture can come in through the sides as well once the formwork's off. I want to ensure that I'm protecting the slab as much as possible. Once I remove the formwork, anything that's exposed on the outside I'll just cut away. That'll be not an issue. So now I've just got to tape up all my joins and then cut the mesh, put in the bar chairs, and that's it. If I really want to, I can go around on the inside of the boards and put a bit of like an oil-based product, just to help the concrete not stick to the boards, especially when I'm removing them. I'll just come away nicer. Now we're going to tie wire probably every second one, or through here, and then I'll come through the middle again and I'll do the ends, just to obviously keep it together. I also put some yellow caps on the star pickets for safety. Yeah, they're pretty dangerous if you trip and fall on one, catch your leg on one, it's not going to be pretty, so yeah, safety first in that respect. So yeah, I'm just going to tie off a couple now. It's been a couple of years since I've done this. I'm just going to whack a few chairs down just to bring it up a bit and make it a bit easier to tie. But anyway, these are the chairs I got. 50 by 65. Okay, so the concrete's in. I used the concrete taxi just because it was about a 1.6. It ended up being, I think, 1.8 cubic meters for this. So I actually got the order wrong, the measurements, but fortunately I was the first delivery of the day. They had more than enough bags of cement and dry mix to make up a little bit more for me. So that was, I guess, lucky. I know when you order concrete, you should always allow for a minimum 10% extra. I did, but still it wasn't enough. But anyway, lesson learnt. Don't really know what the lesson was, that other than the fact that I got it wrong. Now, I don't have a long screed. I've only got an 1800mm long screed, and I'm not a concreter, so I'm probably not going to get my levels right with just that screed. So I've just used one of the pieces of formwork board that I used, or that I had left over, and I'm just running that across the sides just to get a pretty good, nice flat sort of surface. So there's no sort of like, at least bumps in the middle, which is probably what would happen if I did use the screed. But again, DIY, not a professional. It does do the job. After that, we're gonna basically move on to using a bull float. But we just had a shower come through, so the slab's really wet. So this isn't gonna go off for quite a long time today, which isn't a bad thing. It just means that I'll have enough time to sort of tackle this on my own without it going off too quickly and losing it. But anyway, it's hard work. So 5 hours, 7:20 the truck arrived and we started. It went in wet and then it rained, so it slowed down the concrete going off. And then next minute the sun came out and bang, it just went fast, and I was almost got caught with my my butt hanging out, and it nearly got away on me. Unfortunately, with a bit of a scramble, I got it finished, and I did the edges, and then I ran the broom over. So I'm happy with it, but let's have a look at it now. So that's it. Alrighty, so the next stage of the journey is actually putting in some channel drainage around this side and the back end side. Over on that side, I'm going to use a pit drain, and I'm using 90mm stormwater to basically send it out and away and out the back of the yard. So basically I'm just excavating down the side here now. I've just had to use a grinder to sort of cut back the concrete where it's sort of spilled out underneath, just so it's flush, because the drain isn't going to sit level with the slab. It's actually going to come down to ground height. And if you see here, the slab in areas is actually like 120 mil off the ground. So yes, I'm going to have to dig down another 100 mil or about 120 mil so I can put a bit of either bedding sand or crusher dust on the base for where the channel drain is going to sit. Yeah, so no, the pram doesn't go in the shed. No, there's too much mess in there. Yeah, so basically this corner here and the back end corner gets a lot of water, because a lot of the water is coming from the back of the retaining wall, and it isn't really holding the water behind the retaining wall where I've sort of cut it out. So I'm hoping that the two channel drains will, especially the channel drain at the back, will collect any water that sort of is pooling in behind the shed, and that will, yeah, essentially do the job. So basically I'm just going to go through each step now and we'll get it done. So the channel drain is going to go down there. The ground height is different. It's about 80 mil difference. So basically, yeah, the channel drain is going to sit at least 80 mils below the slab, if not 100, or at least 100 over in this section. Similar to this shed, the two down pipes are at the front, so I'm going to do the same here. So one of the down pipes is going to come down here, and it'll collect in the channel drain and go down around the back and then out there. Whereas this side, I'm going to use a pit drain. So I'll dig that down. I've got a 90mm stormwater pipe that's going to come feed out of that. I'll come down there, and then I'm going to use this wide junction here, so that will, the channel drain is going to come from here. The pit water pipe's going to come from this side. Use this 45, that'll go there. I'll just do that, so that'll go there, and then that'll go there. Alrighty, we're going to dig the hole for the trench. So using this pit, it's 300 square pit, 300 mil. So we'll put that in there, and then the down pipe will be able to go through there. We'll cut a hole and feed our 90mm drainage stormwater pipe through there, and we'll head it in that direction. So I'm just going to add some rock in the bottom of the pit, and I'll put a couple of holes in the bottom of that so that any still standing water that doesn't get fed through the stormwater pipe will be able to sort of filter through those rocks and then back into the soil. So that's going to be the finishing height for the drain. I've just marked a line through there where it's going to go. It's obviously the pipe, not this one, but we'll run down through there. So let's start digging this out. Alrighty, so the pit's done. I've dug out the trench for the pipe. The pipe's got adequate fall. The next bit is to use a hole saw to cut a hole into the side of the drainage pit so the pipe can feed through. What I did was I bought a cheap hole saw kit from Bunnings. It's the craft ride, it's about 22 bucks. It's literally half the price as one, half decent hole saw is. So considering I'm only probably going to ever use this once, at least in the near future, it just made sense to go the cheap way with this. So basically I've assembled the hole saw. This is a 92mm hole saw bit, which is literally 100% perfect. It's hot. Clean that up because I like to do things neatly. Even if it's DIY, you want it to look as professional as possible. So now I'm going to actually install the channel drain. I'm actually just going to not really worry about any sort of sand or blue metal or anything to lay down, because the actual soil ground surface is actually pretty good, so I'm pretty happy with it. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the channel drain in on this end first. I've got a stop end, or an end cap as they call it, which I'll insert on this end, and then on that end there will be the corner join. Now these channel drains have two different ends. So one end is specifically for an end cap, the other one is designed so you can have like an extension joiner sort of or corner piece fit in with a joiner, which is what this is. So essentially this is called they call it a converter, or I call it a joiner, whatever you want to call it, probably what it's called. So let's do that. Alrighty, so basically dry fitted everything, we're ready to rock and roll. So I'm just going to walk you through it now. So channel drain starts here, you've got the end cap on. So we've got good fall coming through here. That corner piece is a nightmare, but it's in. And then that falls down there. And over here is where our pit drain is. So that's at roughly the right height. I've decided to drill a couple of holes in the bottom, but also fill it up with rock. So the rock comes to the base of this. So that will, I guess, help. It'll take a lot of the surface area away from here, and the water will filter through this this pipe more freely. So yeah, that basically runs down here. Now it comes into a 45mm into a Y junction, and then that flows through to another 45 and then another 45, and then it's going to go down behind the shed, and then we've got more work down the back to follow, but essentially that's it. Alrighty, so now it's time to join the pipes. I'm going to do it the right way and seal it with this like PVC cement. So this is a really old expired tube of the priming fluid, but I'm just going to use it anyway, see if it does anything. So you apply the primer first, and then this is a non-pressurized PVC cement-based liquid, which will basically join everything together and seal it and lock it into place. So let's do it now. Got these paint brushes that I bought a little while ago. Might just use these to apply it. So we've got a female end here, so we'll go paint this. Keep them clean. So I'm racing against the storm here, but the pipes are in, they're sealed. Now I want to put in some crusher dust with a mix of GP cement, and I'll use that to fill the voids and basically secure the channel drain in through here and down the back there. Okay, so at the end of the run, basically I've run the 90mm pipe down behind the shed. Made a turn using two 45-degree angles, running it through here. It comes to this point, which is a reducer. It's going from 90 to 50mm pipe, and then it makes its last turn to go under the colorbond fence and then out into the back of the property, which is like a nature reserve culvert. Unfortunately, there wasn't enough clearance to get under the fence with adequate fall using a 50mm pipe, so I've then had to use a second reducer down here, which is going to be a 40mm pipe. I've actually used an inspection point here as a sort of a 2-for-1 special, in that it's a joiner, but it's also, in my opinion, a good idea to have the inspection point here, because we go from a 90 to a 50mm. There might be some blockages in this area at some stage, especially down into the smaller pipes down here. So this is it, basically done. Alrighty, moment of truth. Let's see how the drainage goes. Lots of water. I'm going to paint the back wall green so it matches the colour of the shed and the fence. So I'm using a 160 mil wide nut. It's a 20 mil thickness, so it's like nice, and it's going to hold a lot of paint, and just spread it over the sleepers quickly and easily. Not worried about a smooth finish because it's a rough bit of timber. I'm using Deadlock Weather Shield. Apparently it's probably one of the best. Yeah, so this is Colorbond Pale Eucalypt. Alright, so it's been exactly 29 days since I poured the slab, so it's more than enough time for the concrete to be cured and strong enough to drill into and anchor down some bolts for the shed. I'm going to start basically laying it out now, and going to flick a chalk line on all sides just to get a sort of a straight run. It'll just make putting the walls up a little bit easier, just to make sure everything's sort of square and straight, just as, yeah, just a visual reference basically. So basically, like, I'm way out of my depth here. I've never done anything to this standard before, so hopefully I get it right first go. I'm going to be triple, quadruple checking my measurements before I do anything. So something that might normally take, I don't know, half a day might take me 2-3 days to do. I don't know. I'm not rushing it. I'm in no rush. We're at the 3-month mark now since I started actually deciding, I was going to do this shed, where it was going to go, and start excavating out to prepare for the slab. So yeah, just going to run through like a bit of a time lapse now. I'll stop the video at any point where I think it might be necessary to sort of say what I'm doing, but wish me luck. Okay, so the width of the walls are 75mm. So for this, the walls are actually sitting near flush to the edge of the slab. So I'm going to come in 75, make a mark, do the same thing at the other end, flip the string line, and then go around and do that on all the corners, all the sides. And as I go, I'll just check my 345, which is your Pythagoras, to make sure it's square. Alrighty, so for each wall we're putting 4 screws in, and essentially just following the plans, it's a maximum 1400mm spacings for this particular one, so the gaps are minimum 14, or sorry, not more than a maximum. So what we do is we've already screwed in this case, I think I used an 11mm metal drill bit, so I've screwed the holes prior to placing it on the slab. Now we use a hammer drill with a masonry bit. While the drill bit's still in there, I actually blow it out, so as basically that stops any of the dust going back into the hole. Alrighty, so once the hole is done in here, I was actually advised that this is galvanised, but once you screw through it, the centre of it isn't galvanised. It doesn't have the coating on the inside of that bare hole. So as an afterthought, I've luckily had some of this Lano Shield, so I'm just spraying that just to sort of protect the bare metal or aluminium or whatever the material is. I don't know. I'm not a professional. And we use a large square washer first, and then a smaller washer that's more to the size of the masonry screw, which are an 8x60, so 60mm length, 8mm width. So that's screwed off, but it's not tight. They're just at like probably, I don't know, 85, 90%. So I'll come through. I'm essentially doing the two ends first, and then I come through and do the two centers. So this is the third of the 4 walls going up. But essentially that's the process that I'm using to bolt this down. Okay, so this is the diagonal corner from the one we've just screwed in. So as it's just sitting naturally, this part here, as you can see, is sitting off from being flush from this side panel. So this is the back panel, and as you can see, that is not plumb, and this is the back wall that I'm measuring off. That's the side wall. I don't know if you can see that bubble, but that bubble is plumb. So all we need to do is push this back so it's flush, which it is. We know that that's going to be plumb. Just to help me, I'll actually see if that braces. There you go. That kind of braces it so it stays flush. So now what we can do is we can come through and put some more Tex screws in. So that'll then join the 2 corners of the walls. And then we'll keep moving on to the next section. Well, I've got basically got a shed. Oh, that's not bad for a day's work. I'm pretty absolutely stoked with how that went. Right on time too, because we got big storm brewing up out there. But no, I very pleased with how this all turned out. I thought the shed slab, or the concrete slab, had bulged in a few sections, because when I flicked the chalk line, measurements were sort of reading about 10 mil out in the centres, but it turns out that it doesn't look like it's really an issue at all. If anything, there's like a bee's line of an issue. Well, not an issue, but a bee's line of a sort of a bulge. But otherwise, absolutely laughing. So tomorrow we're going to attack the Purlins and yeah, get that all fixed up, and yeah, get the cyclone bracing in, or whatever it's called, the bracing, the braces, and I think then we'll build the walls and then the roof. And yeah, Bob Johnny, she should be done. I'm going to hit pause here. Went ahead and started putting up these side panels, and I've given it a fair bit of overhang at the bottom. Now I did sort of go off from the top and thought, yeah, look, it's going to be enough clearance for the roof sheet to come through and overlap. But as I started coming along, I was like, that's right, I've got these PVC pieces, and what they are is Vermin Flashing. Now, with this whole build, I've had no instructions at all, and I've never done it before. So I was sort of using YouTube videos, a bit of ChatGPT to sort of to guide me. Yes, obviously I probably went a bit too quick in putting these up, and I did forget about these Vermin Flashing. And once I've come back to this and I've sort of tried to work out exactly where and how these go in, I've come to the conclusion that basically it goes like exactly like that, but behind this panel. And then I've sort of looked, and I also had this double-sided tape that came with a kit, and I was like, where am I using the double-sided tape? So I think what I'm doing is, the double-sided tape is getting used to basically fix against the bottom plate of the wall frame, which will then stick to the back of the Vermin Flashing. But I'm going to go onto the other side wall and I'll show you exactly how I think it works. I'm going to do the rear. I called Titan. I'm going to get those two side pieces replaced, so that way it's done. They also mentioned that the benefit of putting the Vermin Flashing in on the bottom, it also helps to avoid the voiding of warranty, because apparently if the sheet's sitting flush against the concrete slab, apparently the moisture from the slab can accelerate, I guess, rust and, you know, anything that's essentially deemed as a warranty void. So another reason to do it right. So going to put down, we're going to install double-sided tape. I also mentioned that you can also rivet these the flashing onto here as well, which is a good idea, but seeing as it's come with this tape, may as well use it. Alright, time to learn how to use a nibbler. So I went out and spent, I don't know, how much did I spend? 130? I think I spent $130 on this. So I've never used a nibbler before. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a practice run on this piece of sheet here that was used as a cover to protect the actual sheets. Alrighty, so basically the beauty of this is, I've just learned, is you can change the head. So if you want to cut straight, so say you're going up, the head's there, so you just go straight up. But you can also change unscrew this, and then change the position of the head. So for me, I'm going to be holding it like this and cutting across, I reckon, just from there, because the sheet's up like that. I reckon it's probably best to go, yeah, do that. So let's try that now. That's not easy to get it perfect. But remember, it is the very, very first time I've ever used it. So, yeah, it's the hard bit's starting. So you want to, so as it starts to go, it wants to kick away. So yeah, anyway. Fortunately, where I'm doing it, it's going to be covered by flashing, so wish me luck. So this is the piece we'll be cutting first. As you can see, it's a bit of a difference here. So this sheet was longer. That's just how it came. So anyway, so basically got to cut straight through there and all the way to there. Alrighty, so I've got to use some pop rivets in installing the gutters, and I saw a little video which I thought was pretty cool, so I'll share. Good way to find out what size your pop rivet is you could just go boom, boom, boom down here and go, oh yeah, it's that size, it's this size, or you could take it out and you just place it in. 2 mil, no. 2.5 mil, ooh, no. Boom, 3 mil. There you go, so you know to use the 3 mil bit. Funny story for me though is, I don't have a 3 mil bit. That's missing. So off to the shops I go. Round 2. Got a bit. Let's see if it fits. Alright, Bob's your auntie, it fits. this is the gutter. These are the end caps, and this is how they come, just like this. So they've got a plastic film on them, which you have to take off. Same with the gutter, we'll have to peel that back as well. Essentially that just clips in there. So my plan is to put some pop rivets in, probably put one there, maybe two on the bottom, and then another one on the front face as well. So we'll do that now. One down, a million to go. So we're going to cut this first sheet in. So basically from this corner to the edge of the door frame is 700 mil. So I've just flipped over this sheet and marked 70 mil from this side, and I'll just run a chalk line and we'll make a cut. I'm not going to use a nibbler for this because I hate the nibbler. It's crap. So whether the machine that I bought is just a cheap crap one or whether I'm just a crap operator, and it's probably both. But I went out and bought some offset aviation snips. So we'll just do some manual cutting. Should be a bit of a cleaner cut. This end as well is going to be the corner of the shed, which will be covered by flashing anyway. So, I mean, it doesn't have to be 100% perfect, and it's a good sort of practice because there are other cuts specifically along the horizontal top section that will be exposed and seen, which is essentially the only section that I believe, unless there is some flashing that I haven't seen, that will be sort of, you know, on show and on view. So as far as I know, that's going to be the perfect cut. But anyway, it's just taking me a long time to get my head around it, just because I'm just so concerned of doing the wrong thing, making the wrong cut. And yeah, because anything that I do, if it's wrong, it's money. So yeah. So these are the tools that I bought. Well, sorry, these are the aviation snips. They're a straight cut. They're an offset, so you can kind of like sit above. Where am I? Yeah, you can sort of sit above the sheet and just cut without it getting in the way, theoretically. These are meant to be a pretty decent brand. Can't remember what brand they are. I'll tell you in a sec when I remember. Alrighty, wish me luck. Let's get this cut right first go. Actually, I'm not doing that until I'm 1 trillion% sure that that's the right size. Ugh. 700. And basically I'm just going to run my texter or pen down on the inside of the sheet, and then that'll give me my cut line. So let's do that now and see how well I do it. Alright, I'm pretty happy with that. That cut is neat and it's right. So I've just clamped that in here. So it's time to actually start screwing it in. Already got the 2 side panels in, and this is like the ridge kind of it's like a rain guard, if you will. So anyway, I've measured and cut that, and that's going to go in there. I'm going to pop rivet that in first, and then once I get these sheets in, they'll also screw in through here in sections. So basically what I've done here is, if you can see it, I've sort of cut like a bit of a wing out in there, just to give it a bit more coverage. Just makes it look a bit nicer, I think. So we'll do that now. Probably just put 2 pot rivets in. Alrighty, so I'm going to put in the corner flashings now. So what I've done is, so that's sitting in there flush. Oh, nearly fell off the ladder. So how I've done this is I've just put it there, made a mark, because that's coming down on the angle. And then that's a straight. So basically I've made a mark there, went around with a straight line, and then met in this corner, and then this corner comes up. So I'll cut that in, and then that will get screwed in. Alrighty, time to put the first side of guttering in. What I've done is I've measured from the base, and I've come up and I've worked out what I guess the finishing height on this end is and on the other end. And then I've come down, because this is my lowest point where the downpipe's going to exit the gutter, and I've come down 15 mil, so there's a 15 mil difference over about 3 meters, which is apparently adequate fall. You can definitely see it on the bubble. Yeah, you don't want to go too much because then it'll be too noticeable. So I think 15 mil is probably on the, I don't know, the steeper side, if you will. But I'm sure it'll be fine. And if it's not, then, well, too bad. Anyway, I've done the first pop rivet here. I flicked a chalk line, so I've got a guide. There's 4 of these brackets going in. And basically, so yeah, I've drilled on a 45-degree angle, so I'm going from like corner to corner essentially, just to give it the best hold so it doesn't, turn. So that's basically it. Sort of the way that this work is, the front of the gutter sort of rolls, like you feed the front top of the gutter into there and then you roll it around and it sits sort of in there, and then you fold these 2 down as well. So anyway, that's 1 in. Let's do another 3. So I got the gutter roll. I made the fall too significant. Yeah, I think where I went wrong was that I've measured from the bottom up, when I probably should have just measured roughly from here. But yeah, I reckon that the fall is probably nearly 30 mil. Yeah, when I just tested by putting the gutter up, and it just visually, it was huge. It was like, yeah. So anyway, I'm gonna just put my drill through these pop rivets. What I've done is, so I'm using a 3.5 mil drill bit to actually drill the hole for the rivets. I've just put a 3 mil bit in just to drill them out. I'm going to have to redo these to seal them up, and I probably should put a bit of silicone on them as well. And then I'm going to have to redo this. Problem solved. I think that'll probably be the new home for it. And of course I don't have my pencil on me. But anyway, just a bit of transparency. Making mistakes left, right and centre. But I'm not doing a dodgy job. Alrighty. The gutter's been cut to size, which I didn't realise was a thing. I thought it would have just been, come to the correct length. given that it's a kit shed. Like the sizes shouldn't really change. Anyway, so it means I had to take off one of the ends that I'd already riveted in and then cut it. In doing the cutting, I've also allowed for the front fascia as well, so it should be right. I think the length is 3140 from memory. Oh, I think that's it. To the eye, you can just see a slight fall. It's not aggressive. It's pretty much near perfect, so I'm happy with that. So now, without falling off this ladder, I'll have to fold these tabs over. So this tab will fold down. And that's it, that's one gutter in. So, with a little bit of a hiccup, that's not bad for my first time. Oh man, slowly getting there. It's basically one side of the shed nearly done, so I can now start on the roof on this side. And I forgot to put the gutter bracket, or the downpipe bracket in. Okay, Bob Johnny. Some silicone around that later, and then we're done. What a mission. Well, drilled through my finger. This is the second time that I've been up here. Yesterday I had a go at putting this top ridge capping in. What I've got is this foam inserts that are in the shape of the corrugated collarbond roof, and basically that's meant to go in, and it acts as a barrier for dust, wind, rain, water, whatever. Yeah, so basically I've made a couple of mistakes. The first one was fixing the top of the roof sheets in instead of waiting, putting the foam inserts in, and then screwing the ridge cap down through the foam insert and then through the top of the roof sheet and into the top battens. So basically what that's meant was, one, I've had to take out all the screws at the top, which means I've now got to basically match up the screw holes. So that's a bit of a pain in the backside. Two, I've also got to line up the foam insert so it is, I guess, dead center as to where all the screw holes are. So when the ridge cap goes on top, when I do go through, I obviously hope that the screw goes into the existing hole, and obviously through the foam to skewer that in. So it's been an absolute nightmare. So yesterday my thought was I will use double-sided tape, which came in the kit, and I've basically flicked a string line on the inside to get a straight line, which I knew would match up with the existing screw holes. I would put the foam underneath and then basically just sit it on. But in doing that, it was a good idea, and it probably would have worked if I'd have done it right. I didn't match up where the foam started in line with the ridges. So it started okay here, but when I got down to the other end, it wasn't. They weren't sitting inside the deep sections of the corrugation. So then I spent another hour or so having to then tediously pull this off, which is an absolute nightmare. So I just completely, it was a write-off yesterday. I wasted 2 hours doing that. So yeah, I've made a fair few mistakes on this job. Nothing major, but just little things that could have been avoided. But it's done my head in. So anyway, we're back up here. What I've done is I've cut out these, I don't know if you can see it, but I've just cut out probably whatever the width of this is by about 1 centimetre, and I've just stuck that on sort of almost every second top ridge, and then basically I'll come along, put the foam, set it on there so it keeps it in place, do that on both sides, and then basically put this ridge, barge capping, whatever it's called, on top, and then hope to God, with a bit of measurements, I find the existing screw holes, and then get it all set in. So yeah, once this bit's done and dusted, it's only the top pieces of the flashing, whatever it's called, on both ends. So I've got to cut them in, shape them. It's going to be a bit of a tedious job too, so it's going to take my time and hopefully to get it right. But anyway, we're right at the very end of this. But I just thought I'd share with you the drama that I had with this. All of this would have been avoided had I not screwed the top sheets in before putting this down. So, because I've done everything in tiny little stages, it hasn't all been in sort of like, you know, one half the day this was done, and then one whole day was this, and then the next day was this, and the whole job was done. That would have been a different story. But because I've been by myself doing little sections here and there when I can, it's just slowed the job down. It's sort of the progress or the flow of how it should have happened, and obviously I didn't sort of foresee certain things happening. So anyway, I'm rambling here, so we'll just get this done. Alright, so we're nearly there. Yesterday afternoon I've installed the first section of the barge capping along the front face here. How I've decided to do it is like this. I've basically made a mark where the gutter is, and I've come up about 10 mil, and then I've come across to this section here so it lines up and it's neat, and then I've just done a straight line up and then probably 15 or so mil across and then goes in there like that. So with this piece under here, this first piece is going to be underneath And this piece here is going to be the cover, so it's going to lap slightly over this. And the centre, or the peak of the gable, is roughly in line with this piece here. Oh, sorry, this, that edge, if you call it an edge. So what I'm going to do, so what I'll do is, I'm going to step you through exactly how I did it with this section here. So basically where it's sitting now is where it will be. So I'll come through, make a mark with the pen here, and then it'll come to that point there, and it'll do like a curve, or like a round curve. Anyway, we'll go through it now. So we'll make the first mark here. This has still got the plastic sheeting on it, so I can make the mark without actually going on the colour bond. So I'll make it about there. Alrighty, so we'll take the tin snips, we'll cut. Alrighty, let's see if that slots in. So this product here I went and bought just today. I've been using a different lanolin sort of CRC spray to protect against rust. Maybe this will be better, I'm not really sure. But yeah, basically I'm just going to spray it on all the cut edges, and where I've screwed in all the bits of metal that comes through, especially from like the gal steel on the inside, like the actual frame, and also obviously the inside of the sheeting, the bare metal inside that. Once it's exposed, it rusts, and there's I can see rust already all through it. So basically, yeah, clean that up, give it a spray with this, and hopefully that'll give it some future-proof it. Walk up the ladder. So basically what's going on here is, from about here, you could have brought it a bit closer, but basically with the top capping, I need to cut that back and then fold it out so it sits more flush on here. So basically going to mirror what I've done here is I've cut it up and then I've folded it out. So I'll do that, that'll give me a better chance to line this piece up so I can get a vertical cut straight down there. And now the vertical cut has to be, well, you want it to be as plumb as possible, because this is going to be the piece that you see, and I'll show you what I mean by that. Using this as an example, so that's the centre of the roof, and that's a clean plumb cut. So it's basically going to be identical to that. Okay, so basically what I've done is I've eyed up the top of the ridge cap. Just used a level to sort of just eye it, made a mark at the top there, and then from there I've come down with my level and just got it plumb on the spirit level, flicked a line, well, put a line in. I know that the centre is roughly in line with that, which basically they match up. So where that's sitting now, I'm pretty happy. I know that the barge capping is where it should be sitting at the end against the gutter. So I know that I'm not too far one way or the other. So it should be, theoretically, should be ready to cut that. Because once I cut it, once it's cut, I don't go backwards. Square. Alrighty, so the shed's done. Basically sealing the concrete now. I've decided to go with something that's simple to get, Purlins. It's from Bunnings, that's where I got it from. This one's a paving and concrete sealer. It's in satin finish, it's clear. I did consider a coloured sealer. I did consider different brands, but for 70 bucks you get 2 coats guaranteed for my 9 and a bit square metre shed. So about 3 hours ago I did the first coat, so I'm going to come through now with the second coat. It is dry to touch, and it is actually a little bit slippery, so yeah, it's not like a workshop or anything, so it shouldn't be an issue. And it's a dry space, so yeah, that's basically it. Let's seal it. It's already looking great, so I'm sure the second coat will just give it a bit of a richer colour. Alrighty, job's nearly done, so I'm just putting the lock in now, the lock and key mechanism. I've gone out and bought a bimetal hole saw. Just got this one from Bunnings. Oh, dropping it away. So it's a 32mm bit for the front. So I've got a 32mm bit attachment. I've gone through and I've basically marked out where my center is on here, which will then line up where my latch mechanism will be. So I sort of got that point there is where the pin sort of comes through and comes in. So everything should line up, but yeah, that's basically how it'll finish. So let's see how I go. So this is just a Titan brand locking kit. See how it holds up. Alternatively, you go out and get a better sort of stainless steel product. I don't know if this is a stainless steel product, but you know, something from the brand of like Locksmith, something like that. Anyway, so basically you got this piece here. That'll sit in there like that, and then that'll go through. Obviously it's not going to go through yet because I've got to drill the hole through that plate for this to come through. But yeah, hopefully that's right. Alrighty, so for this side, I know the instructions say it kind of looks like you put a 32mm cut on both sides. I'm not doing that because realistically it's just this piece here that's got to come through that hole and marry up. Well, from the other side this has got to come through, and then the deadbolt bit has to line up with it. So I found a 11mm bit drill bit, so I'm just going to drill that through. That should be plenty big of a size of a hole. Yeah, for that to come in, and then yeah, and then it doesn't take up too much space for this piece to sit in. So basically, it's that flat bit's going to go into that piece there. So let's see how it goes. All right, step 1, it goes through. Step 3, let's see if it goes in. Well, it will go in obviously, but yeah. Oh mate, that is perfect. Perfection. So that is the first time I've ever done that, and I got it in one. Whew, that's lucky. Okay, that's basically almost a job done. So this piece has to come in here, and yeah, this is the next part of the puzzle, is lining up the screw holes for here, which will then go into the back of the key part of the lock and pull it in. So yeah, we're not quite home yet. Alrighty, so I've marked the 2 holes here for these 2 screws. They're a 5mm in diameter, so I'll just go bang bang, and then these screws will feed through into the lock. Alright, and it's starting to rain. Alright, so that piece there, you slide that in there. I've made a mark with a bit of pencil on there so I know where my level is. I've done a pilot screw through there, and now I can come in. Alrighty, so we're in the shed, got the doors locked, well not locked, but closed. I just want to talk about basically the last final step in this journey, which is going to be putting some bolts, drop bolts, on this door. So this is the door that has the padlock. This door is going to get fixed with 2 drop bolts on top and bottom. This is what came in the kit. So this is about 100mm sort of drop bolt. Unfortunately, what was supplied, yeah, it's too small, it's too short. So for example, if I put it here, look, it doesn't reach and go over that to stop the door from opening. And the same principle applies down the bottom, it's too short. So I've gone to the old hardware store and I've bought, where is it? So I've gone to the hardware store, you can see that, but it's a galvanised drop bolt, 300mm. It's essentially this. So this is going to be for my bottom. This is a good heavy duty solid bolt. So that's going to go, I'm going to fix it to here, and that's going to go into the concrete, into there. And the other one I bought, this one's a little less heavy duty, still like a good solid size compared to what was purchased. Not purchased, but compared to what was supplied in the kit. Basically, this is a 150mm drop bolt kit. So this is going to go on the top. And that should, yeah, so that'll give us enough. It'll clear this by about 20mm up here. So yeah, having the 2 top and bottom will be well and truly adequate to keep the door closed. Now, drilling a hole into the concrete for this bottom drop bolt, I didn't want to just have a hole in the concrete. I thought I'd actually fill it with a sleeve. I was looking at some plastic alternatives, but I ended up finding this galvanised steel round tube. So this is 16 by 1.2mm thick by 1 metre long. So basically, yeah, the diameter I believe is 16mm. That is absolutely perfect for the diameter of the drop bolt. It slots in there perfect. So you got male and female, back and forth. Yeah, so that'll basically go on the hole. Look, it's just a little bit more tidy, a bit more professional. So that's what I've done. So yeah, that's it. So we're going to do that now. And then basically the shed's finished. So we're going to do the top one first, because I want to get that into position, exactly where it's going to sit, because that is going to decide where the hole for the bottom drop bolt's going to land. Because if I do the bottom one first and say I do it, because there's a tiny bit of play in the door, there's not much, but look, I feel more comfortable doing the top one first, and then we'll get the bottom one done. So we've got a little catch there, so that'll feed in. Even though it's getting pulled that direction, I'll still put that in because it's neat. Now the kit comes with some screws, with some washers. However, just for some added security, I've actually gone out and bought these zinc plated nuts and bolts. So from a security perspective, if someone's pulling on the door, a screw alone is going to pop out a lot quicker than something with a nut behind it. So basically the nut's going to act like a washer almost. And I think theoretically it's going to be a stronger setup. It's an M5 nut and bolt. So then it should be a 5mm screw. 5mm drill bit. So the beauty of this one is the bottom one doesn't have this, but this one's got a little eyelet to put a little pad bolt on here as well. So that's just, again, added extra security, and I am 100% about security. there's your little lesson. Put the drop bolt in first. All right, so now I've just got to drill the hole in the concrete for that. That's in there. So where that's sitting right now, put a marker around that, and that's exactly where it is. That is finished. Very, very happy with the result. So glad it's finished. It was such a long journey, but it's done. I'm going to start slowly bringing stuff out of that shed so it can be a gym and utilize this as an actual storage shed and / workshop. Basically, yeah, just really happy with the result. Looks great. It is strong as an ox. Yeah, no, I so far can't fault it. Got to do a bit of a landing here. I'm thinking about doing some paving and then maybe getting a little tiny maybe rubber ramp to, you know, get my cylinder mower up and down here smoothly. But yeah, that's that is my shed. Yeah, that was an hour-and-a-half long video that you've just sat through if you've made it that far, so good on you, appreciate it. I've enjoyed it, had its ups and downs, but we're there in the end. So thanks again for watching, guys. Actually, you know what? Let's go have a look at what I'm actually doing right now. I'm in the process of making another video. I'm doing a complete redesign, re-landscaping my entire backyard. Let's go have a quick sneak peek at it now. I've already started. So as you can see, the link block wall that was down there has been pulled out. I hired a 2.5 ton excavator and graded all through here because it was a slope. Removed all the dirt that was there that came out originally of where this shed currently is. We're going to put in some edging through here, garden in there. This is a paved area here, and another paved area out the front of the original existing shed. So this was a day's work on the 2.5 tonner and moving about 5 tipper truckloads of soil. So bulk of the work's been done by machine, which I hired and used myself, which was yeah, an experience. But hang around, I'll eventually have a video coming out which will document that entire journey. It won't be as instructional or as like the style that I did the shed in, so it may be a shorter video, but nonetheless it's going to be a big one. Thanks for watching.